It's jolly to look at the map and finish the foe in a day. It's not easy to get at the chap. These neutrals are so in the way. I don't know. I always liked that little ditty from World War II, and it feels very apropos now that we seem to be some kind of in World War III, maybe. Um, so the poem's actually much longer and gets very geographically specific. If anyone wants to go find it, it's floating out there in the internet somewhere. So we don't know what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz. I did find there's a long piece today from John Conrad about Lloyds that I wanted to get into here right now, though, about how, Lloyds really, when you think about what Lloyds is Lloyds is collecting intelligence from around the world and is using that to price the market for insurance. And since now Lloyd's is hesitating about pricing, that they don't, where did it go? Hold on, because I did tweet it out because I thought it was interesting. Let's see, where is it? Hold on a minute here. Shoot, it's longer than I thought it was. This is potentially the biggest Iran story nobody is talking about. The global insurance market may be heading toward a systemic crisis. Here's why. Most people don't realize London isn't just a financial center, it's the center of global insurance. Lloyds underwrites approximately 40% of the world's marine cargo. Ship sinks, port gets bombed, canal gets blocked, the bill lands in London. This is why the UK punches above its weight. Not the Royal Navy, not diplomacy, insurance. Control insurance, control trade. And London doesn't just control the 90% of global trade that moves by sea. Lloyds and the London market are major insurers of almost everything: skyscrapers, factories, ports, satellites, entire supply chains. You can't participate in public markets or raise large amounts of capital without insurance. Now, the normal playbook for war risk is repricing, not cancellation. Canceling coverage entirely is a massive escalation in underwriting posture. It signals something beyond risk. It signals uncertainty so deep the underwriter can't even price it. The question everyone should be asking: why? Why not just jack up premiums and make a fortune off of the crisis like they did in the Black Sea in Ukraine? To answer that, you have to understand why London has maintained a stranglehold on global insurance while losing nearly sub-market related to ships. The answer: better intelligence. It's no coincidence that MI6 headquarters sits directly across the Thames from GCHQ, the world's maritime regulator, and a short distance from Lloyd's itself. Sorry, I read that as GC. It's IMOHQ. The world's maritime regulator and a short distance from Lloyd's itself. I have no proof of a direct pipeline, but it has long been speculated that in the industry that intelligence flows from MI6 to Lloyd's. Having the best intel in the world would be the single greatest competitive advantage any insurer could possess. The ability to price risk that competitors can only guess at. Here's the problem. The majority of MI6 intel doesn't come from its own agents, it comes from Five Eyes, the alliance comprising the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And within Five Eyes, the dominant player is obvious. The CSA, the NSA, etc. generates the lion's share of intel. I would add in, I think he says Navy intel in here too. So if Lloyd's pricing advantage flows from MI6 and MI6's best intelligence flows from the US, what happens when that data pipeline gets throttled? All indications are that Keir Starmer was blindsided by the size and scope of the US-Israeli strikes on Iran this weekend. That alone tells you something about the current state of transatlantic intelligence sharing. And we know there has been serious anger in Washington over the UK's decision to sell Diego Garcia, home to America's most strategically important base in the Indian Ocean, to Mauritius. It is not a huge leap to conclude that the submarine cables linking Langley to London have gone dark, or at a minimum have been significantly throttled. What this means for UK national security is a question for the Brits, but what it means for every company globally that's insured through the London market has massive implications for the entire financial system. Because most large insurers worldwide don't do independent intelligence work, they index off of Lloyd's rates. If you're insuring a skyscraper in Tokyo, a semiconductor fab in Taiwan, or a port in Argentina, you get a Lloyd's quote, then shop that price around. Other insurers see Lloyd's number and assume the diligence was done. They price accordingly. This means if London is suddenly flying blind, it's not just Lloyd's policyholders at risk, it's the entire reinsurance chain. The cancellation of war risk coverage on ships isn't the crisis, it's the canary. If this hypothesis is correct, we could be looking at a systemic repricing event across global insurance markets, the kind of cascading uncertainty that defined 2008 and COVID. Watch Lloyd's, watch reinsurance spreads, watch Five Eyes. That's where this story and possibly Wall Street breaks. And so, and I've always maintained that 2008 broke the insurance market, and that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of what you've been seeing over the past 18, God help us, 18 years, 20, 18, whatever it is. So just something to think about. Keep an eye on it. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and I will report back to you. Bye.